Somewhere in your garden right now, a perennial is quietly deciding how much of your yard it is going to own by next spring. It looked innocent at the garden center. You brought it home, planted it with care, and for 1 or 2 seasons it was exactly what you hoped. And then it changed the plan. Some of the prettiest perennials ever sold to the American gardener are the ones that spend the next decade fighting you back. The garden center did not warn you at checkout, and they had their reasons not to, because every plant an invader smothers is a replacement sale waiting to happen. I planted ribbon grass in a corner bed, thinking the white striping would brighten the shade. Within 3 years, it had jumped from that corner into 3 other beds by traveling underground beneath a walkway. A full weekend of hand digging and soil sifting to undo that decision. I inherited a comfrey patch when I bought my first property in the mid-1980s and dug for 5 straight summers, and was still pulling comfrey shoots through the early 90s. That is not bad luck. That is what happens when the plant tag leaves out the part that actually matters. Today I am giving you 15 perennials to pull out of your garden before fall, and for every one of them, the specific alternative that gives you the same look without the invasion. Do not wait for spring. Pull them now, while they are still showing you exactly where they are. If you are new here, welcome to the Gardening Grandma. Hit subscribe right now so you never miss a video. I post every single week with honest, practical advice, no products, no fluff, just real knowledge from someone who made every one of these mistakes herself. Drop your U.S. state and your USDA hardiness zone in the comments before we go any further. Plant 15 Evening Primrose, yellow 4-petal flowers that open at dusk, sold as a charming cottage plant. One plant drops thousands of seeds in September, and by the following June, you have Evening Primrose coming up in every gap between every plant across the whole bed. The control window is late July through August. Cut every spent flower head before the seed capsules dry and crack open. Miss that window, and you have already seeded next year's problem. Dig the parent clumps out completely by early fall. If you love the yellow, plant threadleaf Coreopsis Zagreb instead. Same warm yellow flower show, fine ferny foliage, blooms June through frost, and stays as a tight clump exactly where you planted it. One clarification worth making: the problem is specifically the common wild species. There are compact hybrids like Sunset Boulevard that stay well behaved, so check the label before you buy. Plant 14 Chinese Lantern, those bright orange papery lanterns that dry beautifully for fall arrangements. Nobody at the garden center mentions that Chinese lantern is not a plant. It is an underground occupation force. Rhizomes run 3 to 5 feet in a single growing season, popping up in the middle of your peonies, under your hostas, along the foundation of the house. Dig the entire clump out this week with as much of the rhizome as you can trace. Every piece left will resprout. Bag and trash the rhizomes, never compost them. For the same architectural fall interest, plant Baptisia, or balloon flower. Baptisia holds structure and turns bronze black in fall. Balloon flower gives you beautiful late summer blooms and stays completely put. Plant 13 Ribbon Grass, variegated grass with white and green striped blades, sold as an ornamental for garden borders. It runs 6 to 8 feet in every direction over 3 seasons, chokes out perennials, and creeps into lawn grass. Cut it to the ground now and start excavating the edges with a sharp spade. Every rhizome must come out. Sift the soil for any white running roots you find. If you want a fine textured ornamental grass, plant native little blue stem or switchgrass. Both stay in tight clumps, hold their shape through winter for structure, and turn beautiful bronze in fall. Plant 12 Spiderwort, purple 3-petal flowers on slender stems, sold as a shade-tolerant cottage perennial. What the plant tag never says is that Spiderwort self-seeds like a weed, spreads by rhizome, and by midsummer flops open in a sprawling mess that stays ugly through fall. Cut every plant to the ground now before the seed pods dry. Dig out any clumps that have escaped where you planted them. For the same blue-purple color in a well-behaved perennial, plant Amsonia Blue Star, fine, narrow foliage, sky blue starflowers in spring, and clear golden yellow fall color. One of the prettiest things in an October perennial bed, and a tight, non-spreading clump for decades. Plant 11, Yellow Archangel. Silver-green leaves marbled with cream, small yellow flowers, sold aggressively at chain garden centers as a shade ground cover. Washington State and Oregon have both classified it as a noxious weed and banned it from sale because it escapes garden beds into forests and displaces native understory. Extension services in Michigan, New York, Ontario, and British Columbia have all documented the same problem. Rip up whole mats now while the soil is soft. Every root fragment resprouts, so check the area again next spring and pull any regrowth immediately. For the same silverleaf shade effect, plant native wild ginger for darker corners or foam flower for a slightly brighter area. Both native, both controlled, both effective. Plant 10, Chameleon Plant. The multicolored ground cover with green, cream, red, and pink variegated heart-shaped leaves, sold since the 1990s as a colorful shade ground cover. Extension services across the country list it as one of the most difficult perennials to remove once established. The rhizomes are brittle and shallow. Every time you dig it, the rhizomes snap and each fragment resprouts. A university study found it is not effectively controlled by standard concentrations of glyphosate or other common ornamental herbicides. The only real removal strategy is smothering. Cut the whole patch to the ground, cover with cardboard or heavy black plastic weighted at the edges, and leave it in place for a full growing season. Then hand dig what tries to come up around the perimeter the following spring. Even this method takes 2 full years for stubborn stands. For the same variegated foliage in a controlled shade plant, grow Brunnera Jack Frost, silver heart-shaped leaves all season, tiny blue flowers in spring, and a manageable clump for 15 or 20 years. Plant 9, Tansy. Bright yellow button-shaped flowers on tall stems, sold at herb-focused garden centers as an heirloom herb. Tansy is toxic to cats, dogs, and livestock, spreads by both rhizome and seed, and is classified as a noxious weed in several western and midwestern states. Cut every flower head now before the seed heads mature. Dig the parent clumps with as much of the root system as you can extract, and bag and trash everything. Never compost it. If you bought an old farmhouse and tansy is coming up in the fence rows every May, you are dealing with historical seed rain from a planting that may go back to the 1600s. The seed bank in those old properties persists for decades. Persistent pulling and mowing over 3 to 5 years drains it eventually. For the same golden flat-topped flower effect, plant Achillea moonshine, lemon yellow flat flower plates, silver foliage, stays compact, completely non-toxic, and butterflies love it. Plant 8, Sweet Autumn Clematis. The vine that covers your fence in a cloud of small fragrant white flowers in September, officially listed as invasive in Alabama, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Illinois, Maryland, New Jersey, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Virginia. One vine drops tens of thousands of wind-dispersed seeds every September, and the following spring you have sweet autumn clematis coming up in fences, hedges, and woodlots for a quarter-mile downwind. The control window between flowering and seed maturity is only 3 to 4 weeks. Prune the vine hard immediately after flowering ends. Cut everything back to about a foot from the base in the second week of September. That single action stops the year's seed rain into the neighborhood. For the same September fragrant white vine, plant the native Clematis virginiana. Same look, eastern woodland native, and it does not seed itself across the neighborhood. Plant 7, Plume Poppy. 8 feet tall, dramatic gray-green foliage with feathery cream flower plumes, sold as an architectural back-of-border perennial. Impressive the first year, aggressive the second, and a full property occupation force by year 3. Thick underground rhizomes run 20 feet through neighboring garden beds and pop up in the middle of established peonies, hostas, and phlox. Start excavating the edges of the clump now. Every year you wait, the perimeter doubles. For the same dramatic tall effect, plant goat's beard or baptisia. Aruncus gives you the same feathery white flower panicles without the rhizome invasion. Baptisia gives you blue-green foliage all season, blue-purple flower spikes in spring, interesting black seed pods in fall, and it stays as one clump. Before plant 6, drop your state and your growing zone in the comments right now and tell me which plant on this list you have been fighting in your own yard. I read every single one. Now, plant 6, comfrey. The blue-purple bell-shaped flowers get sold as a beneficial herb for the permaculture garden. The reality is that comfrey has a taproot that goes 18 to 24 inches into the ground, and every fragment of that taproot left in the soil regenerates a new plant. Once you have comfrey forever, unless you commit to a multi-year removal project. I inherited a comfrey patch with my first property in the mid-1980s and dug for 5 straight summers, still pulling shoots through the early 90s. Do not let a comfrey plant get a second season in the ground. Start digging now, go as deep as you can, and get every inch of taproot you can trace. Anything you miss will be back next spring, and the older the plant, the deeper the root. For the same pollinator magnet purple flower show, plant anise hyssop. Bumblebees swarm it all summer. It stays as a compact clump, and it holds beautiful vertical flower spikes for 8 weeks straight. Plant 5. Obedient plant. The name is a lie. Sold with pink or white flower spikes in late summer and marketed as obedient because the individual flowers can be pushed side to side on the spike and stay where you put them. The plant itself is one of the least obedient perennials in the American nursery trade. It runs by rhizome through the entire bed within 3 seasons. Cut every flowering stem now, before the seed heads mature, then excavate the clump aggressively with a spade. Trace and remove every white rhizome you can find. Missing a foot of rhizome means the patch is back next spring. For the same tall pink or white flower spike, plant Liatris or Salvia nemorosa. Liatris gives you the vertical purple candles that butterflies swarm, growing from corms that stay put. Salvia nemorosa gives you deep purple flower spikes for weeks in early summer on tight compact plants that never spread. Plant 4, gooseneck loosestrife. The white curved flower spikes, shaped like a goose's neck, sold as a charming cottage perennial. Cottage garden appeal in year 1, monoculture takeover in year 4. It spreads by underground rhizomes into a dense mat that swallows a garden bed in 3 seasons and then jumps into the neighboring lawn. Start excavating the edges now while the outline is still visible. Every year you delay the perimeter doubles and the removal work triples. Dig to at least 8 inches deep to trace the running roots. One important note, gooseneck loosestrife has a yellow-flowered cousin, Lysimachia punctata, that some gardeners plant as the safer version. It is not safer. Punctata is even more aggressive than the white gooseneck species. If your loosestrife has upright yellow flowers instead of white curved spikes, you have the worst of the two. Check next spring in the neighboring lawn. Loosestrife pops up in turf grass with alarming enthusiasm once it crosses the bed edge. For the same white vertical flower spike in a well-behaved native perennial, plant Culver's root, same tall white candles, stays as a tight, non-spreading clump for decades, and a magnet for native pollinators. Plant 3, bee balm, Monarda, the pollinator favorite that every garden magazine tells you to plant. I understand why, because bees swarm it, hummingbirds work it, and the red or pink flower heads are photogenic. Here is the honest problem nobody prints on the plant tag. Standard bee balm spreads by underground rhizomes into a widening ring every year, and every year the center develops powdery mildew so bad by August that the middle turns to gray-dusted brown crispy leaves. You end up with a hollow donut of half-dead foliage that keeps expanding into your other plants. Now is the time to intervene. Cut the mildewed center out entirely, thin the whole patch, and dig out the outer rhizomes that have crossed into neighboring plants. Do this every 3 years or the whole bed becomes bee balm. For a much better pollinator magnet, plant wild bergamot, Monarda fistulosa. the native species with pale lavender flowers, significantly more mildew resistant, spreads more slowly, and native bees actually prefer it. Even better, plant anise hyssop, no mildew, non-spreading, bumblebees adore it, and it blooms for 8 to 10 straight weeks. Plant 2, lily of the valley and mint. 2 grandmother pass-along plants I have to put together because both are the same mistake in different clothes. Both smell wonderful. Both spread by underground rhizomes into a mat that runs under fences and into lawns and never stops. My grandmother's front border had a patch of lily of the valley from the 1940s. By the 1970s, that patch had spread under a 100-foot lawn and was coming up on the other side. Lily of the valley is also toxic to cats, dogs, and children who put the red berries in their mouths. Once it is under a lawn, only years of hand digging or a sustained herbicide program removes it. Mint is the same rhizome behavior with a faster spread and just as tenacious once established in open soil. Every gardener over 60 has planted mint in a bed at some point and spent the next decade fighting it. If you have either in a garden bed right now, dig the clumps out with as much of the shallow rhizome mat as you can extract and bag and trash everything. From this day forward, mint goes only in a plastic pot plunged into the ground to the rim if you want the in-bed look. The pot walls are the only thing that keeps it contained. For the fragrant white spring flowers of lily of the valley, plant foam flower, white star-shaped flower panicles in April stays as a controlled clump under trees and will not be under your lawn by the 1970s. Plant 1, creeping bellflower and bishop's weed. 2 plants sold as pretty ornamentals that share the same trait, the deepest, most fragmentation-resistant root systems in the entire perennial catalog. Creeping bellflower has purple bell-shaped flowers and a taproot that descends 12 inches. Every fragment left in the soil after digging grows back into a whole new plant. Bishop's weed has green and white variegated leaves and a shallow rhizome mat that resprouts from every single piece. Never rototill bishop's weed. Tilling multiplies it by distributing fragments through the entire bed. If you have either one right now, this fall is your moment. Dig creeping bellflower as deep as you can go and sift the soil for every root fragment. These are the 2 you regret most. I have never met a single gardener who planted either one and did not spend years trying to undo it. Rip them first this weekend. 15 perennials. Every one of them looked like a good idea in the garden center pot, and every one of them cost real gardeners real years of digging to undo. Do not wait for spring on any of these. Pull them now, before fall, while they are still showing you exactly where they are and before they seed for next year. Dig the runners while the soil is still soft from summer. Bag the seed heads before they ripen. Cut the vines before they drop their load on the neighborhood. And plant the alternatives, because you do not have to give up the color, the texture, or the fragrance. You just have to choose the version that does not fight back. Now I want to hear from you. Drop your state and your zone in the comments and tell me which plant on this list you have been fighting. I read every single one. If this saved you from planting one of these, or helped you finally understand what has been taking over your garden, share it with one gardener you know. A neighbor, a family member, someone who mentioned that one corner that is completely out of control. That share costs you nothing. If you are not subscribed yet, now is the time. I post every single week, and I do not waste your time. Until then, happy gardening. Take care of yourselves, and take care of those beautiful gardens of yours.